Although its drag-ridden storyline has enormous potential for it, Euphoria, heaven be praised, hasn't gone down the same road as Game of Thrones when it comes to killing off characters. Sydney Sweeney, who plays Cassie, did have qualms about their future on the show. Tag along as we unpack what she and her co-stars had to say about their character arcs in the show's second installment. First up, the scripts were pretty touch and go. Before we can proceed to her comments, it's necessary for you to have a teeny bit of background in how scripts work. While some showrunners believe in handing out complete scripts and bringing the cast together to see how everything might tie in, others, like Levinson, like to keep the actors guessing. No, we're not those typical bandwagon haters. We have nothing against Sam. In fact, we're saying this based on what most cast members, including some of the minor ones, had to say about the touch-and-go nature of the storyline. Zendaya, for example, told The Cut that a large part of the originally planned season was shelved. Similarly, Minka Kelly, who plays Maddie's uber-rich employer Samantha, was only given the script for the heart-to-heart scene in the swimming pool the day it was meant to be filmed. Yes, you heard that right. Day, not week. Now that we've explained ourselves, let's expand on what Sweeney had to say about her fears of being written off. First things first, what led her to that conclusion? Well, as we've said before, Sam likes to keep things under wraps. Thus, he only gave her the script for the premiere episode. For those of you who binged the whole thing and can't quite recall the correct chain of events, the episode featured an anxiety-inducing drunk driving scene involving Nate and Cassie. Yes, it's the one with Cassie's horrid "I'm soaking wet" dialogue. It was this sequence, as she later revealed on The Awkwardest, the Entertainment Weekly's podcast, that gave rise to worries about Kathy's death. To quote, "I thought that Sam was killing me. I thought that I was gonna get killed." Luckily, or sadly if that's how you see their pairing, the actual scene ended up being weirdly sensual and sparked a dangerous connection between the two characters instead. And we all know how that went. But here's something that we didn't know about the car scene before Sweeney's appearance on the podcast. That is, she improvised the part where Cassie hangs out of the car's window. While Sydney described this improv as just random and very in the moment, fans felt that it was quite nerve-wracking and stressful. Like, come on! The show's been an absolute trip, and fans had very little reason not to expect another car ripping her upper extremities off. Anywho, now that we've given you the scoop on her character, let's discuss what Euphoria's other women had to say about their development on the second season. Why was Kat's screen time reduced? Sometimes writing a character off isn't the only way that creators can kill them. They can achieve that by completely butchering their stories as well. Although you might not agree, we think that's exactly what happened in Kat's case in the sophomore season as well. This botched character development on top of her limited appearances is probably what made all those rumors about a Ferriera-Levinson feud sound so believable. But in light of Barbie's recent interviews, we, as well as a huge portion of the fan base, stand corrected. To elaborate, the anonymous tips on workplace toxicity were all false. How do we explain her drastically reduced screen time, you ask? Well, what better way to explain that than using her own words? Simply, and as she put it, the show has a huge cast and everybody needs to have their fair share of dialogue. You'll have to put your biases aside and admit that Kat's character was thoroughly explored in the debut season. No, we're not going to ask you to revise your opinions on her botched arc because, boy, we are just as pissed about it as you. Since we're on the subject of debut and sophomore seasons, it's only fair to reveal that we'll be seeing Kat in the third installment. How can we be so sure? Again, Barbie herself hinted at it. Briefly, when asked about her future on the show, she mentioned how she'd love to share a scene with Lexi. Can't share a scene if you've been written off, can you now? Next, Chloe Cherry shuts down casting rumors. Speaking of sharing scenes, you might have heard that Chloe Cherry, aka Faye, landed her role after Levinson saw a porn parody of her as Jules. While a lot like the other things that have surfaced about Sam so far, this information has been dismissed as complete BS as well. As a matter of fact, Cherry only made the parody once she'd signed on with the show. As for how she was spotted, it was because of an Instagram story she posted of herself at the mall. That infamous parody was actually filmed and came out a year later, when the show came to a halt due to the COVID-19 pandemic, to be exact. Hold on, don't be so quick to accuse us of giving Levinson a clean slate just yet. We're by no means brushing his creepy behavior towards some of the other actors under the carpet. We agree that he has an unhealthy obsession with depicting nudity, but the fact remains that Cherry was all praises for him. For instance, she told Paper Magazine that her interactions with Sam have all been quite lovely. Moreover, he let her improvise a lot of things, including her favorite line about Fez's ass. Now, as far as the question of her return goes, she might be making a comeback, or at least that's what we've surmised from her interviews. In one such interview, she expressed how she'd love to share more frames with Rue's character, considering that they can learn a lot from each other when it comes to addiction. Agreed, and here's hoping that she gets her wish, even though people have been really crass towards her since she first became mainstream. Now, in other related news, what we know about the third season. Although fans were euphoric, couldn't help it, we're sorry, about the show's renewal for a third season, they were also bummed about it not coming out until 2024. Yes, the chances of it coming out in 23 are pretty slim. Why is that so, you inquire? Well, to begin with, the cast members, especially Zendaya and Jacob Elordi, have a lot on their plates for 2023. Zendaya, for example, is currently busy with a number of projects, including the second Dune film and the Ronnie Spector biopic, Be My Baby. As for who and what might be on the next season, we're just as lost as you are. If you take Levinson's spontaneity and some of our earlier comments about it into consideration, you'd know why. Anyway, and depending on how the previous season ended, we can venture to say that it might explore or flesh out the following few stories. Firstly, Cal's and Fez's arrests might be heavily focused in the incoming season. Secondly, Rue might end up getting into some deep shizzle with Lori and her gang. If nothing, we hope that they at least give us some more of Cassie and Nate, because if you recall Maddie's comments, it's only the beginning of Cassie's problems. Nevertheless, don't get your hopes up too soon. This is Levinson's show we're talking about after all, a man who's known for poking gaping holes into fans' theories. Next, Season 2 score release. One thing that you can't deny about these teen dramas is that they know how to use music to their advantage. Euphoria, with its original as well as featured music, is no different when it comes to telling the story audibly as well as visually. Lip service aside, if you enjoyed the music on the show just as much as the action, we've got good news for you. That is, Labyrinth, the show's composer, is releasing the score for the show really soon. Excited? You should be, because not only will Zendaya and Fike, but also the usually reserved Angus Cloud will be featuring on it. From what we know, he's lent his vocals to a song called Fez's Interlude. Speaking of Fike, he's released the full version of his insufferable Elliot song to the audiences as well. We're not sure if it's going to be on the score or not, but seeing that it was mostly met with negative reactions, we hope that it's not. Imagine it taking up most of the score release like it did the episode. We'd see red. Lastly, Sydney Sweeney's favorite meme. Euphoria is going to go down as one of those shows that have been heavily memeified. From the Euphoria High memes to the ones that made the rounds after Lexi's play first aired, this show is a goldmine for memers. But if you thought audiences were the only ones who got a kick out of them, you might have another thing coming. Believe it or not, but Sydney Sweeney has been keeping up with the memes as well. When inquired, she revealed that the bathroom meltdown scene memes were some of her favorites. Well, she's not alone, because we had never ever been happier either before they dropped. That's a wrap for this video. Do you want to see more of Cassie and Nate or Fez and Lexi? Which character do you think needs to take a back seat in the next season? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.